Hey, good afternoon, class. How's everyone doing? Actually, I can't hear your response, but I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm doing all right today. It's a nice, warm, sunny Sunday. Kind of a brutal, hot weekend, but it's nice and sunny out. It's nice if you're staying inside. It's probably really awful if you're outside. But anyways, hope everyone's doing okay. Hope everyone was able to beat the heat, stay cool, have a good weekend, have a good week. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the last video I'll be recording for this class because it is the last week of our class. All good things must come to an end. Our entire course has been about impermanence, the impermanent change from birth to death, so it's very fitting and very understandable that our course will come to an end as well. So this is the last week, week 8. If you've managed to stick around this far, go ahead and pat yourself on the back. You've only got a few days left to go, and you can really enjoy what's left of the summer break. I think there's about 2 or 3 weeks maybe or so between summer classes and fall start. So nice chance to unwind a little bit and maybe catch up on some Netflix or reading or sleep or all of the above. So once this class ends, I am actually going out to California for a couple of weeks for a conference and visiting some friends and loved ones and whatnot along the way. So it'll be nice to kind of relax. I really like these 8-week classes because they kind of keep you on the balls of your feet, keep you going the whole time. But but you're over with, when it's over, and you're like, all right, cool. I knocked out a course in 8 weeks. It feels kind of nice, even from my perspective as a teacher. So. A few things I wanted to talk about in this last video. The first is that grades are posted for your case study writing assignment. So if you submitted one of those, you have feedback. For the most part, they were really good. Almost all of them were great. I really enjoyed reading all of your papers. The biggest issue I thought was some of you maybe just didn't write enough. Like I really liked where your paper was going, but I kind of wanted you to write a little bit more. So at this early stage, being sophomores in college, I really think adhering to some of those, adhering to the directions is important. When I'm asking for 3 pages, I'm asking for 3 pages. I think it's a good idea to be able to practice stretching your thoughts and your words out. Not necessarily giving fluff, but expanding more about what you're writing on. So anyways, I really enjoyed reading those. I really enjoyed that and giving you feedback. And I'm going to kind of tweak that assignment for the next time I teach this class. And this is only the second time I've ever given out those case study assignments. So I kind of tweak and modify here and there. And so anyways, so that's it. Case study assignment. Exam number 4 is open until tomorrow night, Monday night at 11:59 p.m. I think the majority of the class has taken the exam. But since we have so little time left in the class, it is vitally important that you get that exam in by 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night. Please give yourself enough time to take the exam as well. Don't wait until like 11:30. I know I've said that like 4 or 5 times now, but I think it's really important. Give yourself enough time. But so far, I think everyone has done a great job with that. So it's open until tomorrow night, 11:59 p.m. Once you have finished with that, I would recommend go ahead and begin reading our last 3 chapters. We have 3 chapters to cover, 18, 19, and 20. 18 covers cognitive development in late adulthood. So some of the topics that you'll be addressing is, of course, cognitive functioning, how it's taking place with older adults. Unfortunately, cognitive functioning is on the decline at this point in this stage. A lot of the text is going to talk about crystallized versus fluid intelligence. Crystallized intelligence continues to increase throughout your lifespan. It's just what you know, the amount of stuff that you know, but your fluid intelligence, the ability to get that out of from here to get it out, that really starts to slow down. So language will be a big part of this chapter. Work and retirement as well. I mean, that's a huge transition for some people in their lives, going from working to retirement. We'll look at how aging affects mental health and finally what the role of religion and spirituality will play in this last stage of a late adulthood. So that's chapter 18. Chapter 19, of course, we're getting into socio-emotional development during late adulthood, so kind of covering the emotional side of this coin. So continuing to look at some more theories, specifically Erik Erikson. We're going to get into the last stage of Erik Erikson, look at the role of personality theory, the self and society, look at families and relationships and how they impact aging. look at the different aging experiences along the lines of ethnicity, gender, and culture. And then finally, touching on what makes successful aging. And I thought that was a topic that was cool to address last week. I really enjoyed reading your thoughts about what you can do now to improve your chances of aging successfully. I think a lot of you are very aware of what you can do now. It's also interesting, too, that there are a lot of the same impediments are in the way. A lot of you wrote that, hey, I want to make diet changes, I want to make exercise changes, I want to do this, I want to do that. But, it's kind of tough with school right now. It's kind of tough with school life and work and juggling all these things. And that's very true. I think that, for many of you, you might find some of these things easier to do once you're out of school, or maybe, once you've got that 9-to-5 job, you've been hunting or whatever, whenever a certain point. But I also want to urge people not to, if you're aware of changes you need to make, I urge you not to, it's okay to, I understand there are things like life happens. It's hard to find it working a new exercise routine as you're going to school. But I encourage you all to try to make even just small, tiny changes now. Even if it's just, hey, I'm going to take the stairs every day instead of taking the elevator. As far as diet, maybe I get one less soda a day than I normally do, or maybe I cut out. So just little changes that you can make now that maybe by the time you do get your job or you do get out of school, then hey, you've already started that process of change and it's already benefiting you. Then you can make more changes. But it's all about gradual. Take tiny steps. It's not about necessarily making huge leaps and bounds, day 1, day 2, day 3, it's a day in and day out challenge. Trust it. Trust that each day you can make small improvements that will lead to bigger changes over time. So that's my advice to you. That's my life advice to you. Some of you disregard that life advice, take it where you want, but that's my thought on it. So anyways, back to the chapters. Then finally, chapter 20 is the final chapter of the textbook. Oh my gosh, you've read a whole textbook over 8 weeks. Again, pat yourself on the back. That's pretty awesome. Chapter 20 is dealing with the topic of death, dying, and grieving, which is a topic for many people can be somewhat depressing, but it's inevitable. We're all going to die. Hopefully we all die in a peaceful way. We die, surrounded by loved ones and good standing and with our dreams and accomplishments met. But death is still inevitable. Even if you meet all of your goals in life, it's not going to fend off death. So I want you to look at, you're going to be reading about death and how other cultures think about death. We'll be looking at issues of death and defining death itself, different perspectives, developmental perspectives on death, the reality of facing your own death, and then coping with the death of somebody else. We all probably know somebody in our life who has passed away, a friend, a loved one, someone, really important to us who's passed on. So maybe you already have some experience of knowing how to deal with this, but maybe reading developmental theory might give you some better understanding of something you've already gone through. So, I want you to think about your death this week. I don't want you to think about it morbidly, like, oh my God, we're all going to die. It's true, we all are going to die, but it's not that depressing. Try to put it into some context. And because I have a discussion this week, I want you to think about death and talk about death. I want you to talk about how you think about death. So be prepared to discuss that this week. So that's the reading this week, 18, 19, and 20. Exam number 5 is already open, our final exam. I've already seen a few of you have begun to take it. That's great. That is awesome. That helps me out a lot. Exam number 5 will be open until this coming Saturday, which I'm going to check my calendar real quick. I think Saturday is the 28th. Glad I checked my calendar, the 28th. So make sure you have your exam in by the 28th. It is vitally important that you finish that exam on time and you get your grade in. You submit the exam when it's due. Because I'm submitting grades the next day. Sunday morning, I'm going to get up, check the exam results, and then submit grades to OSU OKC. So it's not an exam that I can give any sort of leeway on, this 5th exam. I mean, if you miss it, you ultimately miss it. And that's why I'm really stressing, please make sure that you take the last exam in due time. I mean, I would, all of you are doing, most of you are doing great in this class, and I would hate to see, your grade drop by a whole letter grade or more because you're like, hey, I just forgot. I thought the exam was due this day and it's due that day. I can't help you, unfortunately. So please get it in by Saturday. In fact, I will probably send a reminder out Friday. Hey, just let you know, friendly reminder, you got an exam. So if you see that, don't get annoyed at me, or do get annoyed at me and then go take your exam. Then after that, you're done with me. You don't have to worry about what I say anymore. So yeah, So there's that. So take the exam. It's due by the 28th. It's similar, 70 multiple choice questions. Very similar to the last exams. So that's kind of the rundown for this last week. Complete exam 4 if you have not done so. Read chapters 18, 19, and 20. I want you to think about death, your own death. Don't freak out though. Think about it and be ready to discuss it in this week's discussion forum, which is due Friday. And then finally, exam number 5 is due on Saturday evening at 11:59 p.m. I will post your final grades. I will post those Sunday morning, so you should have a really good idea. You should already have a pretty good idea where you stand in this course. My thoughts are, if you're doing really well up to this point, if you're like, let's say you're making an A in the class, keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop doing what you're doing for this last week. Don't change a thing. Do what you're doing because it's been successful. It's going to continue to be successful. If you're someone who needs, maybe you're sitting at a B, almost an A, maybe you might want to revise your strategy a little bit, study a little bit harder, maybe ask some more questions, but you still have opportunity to earn some more points. So, with the exam number 5, last discussion, there's still points to be had. So, with that, I'm going to leave you here. I want to leave you with a note of saying thank you. I really, really, really enjoyed this 8-week summer course. I know in online it's kind of hard to get to know people, but I feel like I've really gotten to know many of you through your discussion posts and, getting to read your dreams and hopes and aspirations, your thoughts on developmental theory, your application of developmental theory, your perspectives on the world, your perspectives on parenting, on life. It's been really cool for me to read, and it expands my horizons. It helps me to see the world a little bit differently. I'm a white 30-year-old male PhD student, so I see the world in this particular way. I see it from this particular lens. And when I get to encounter students who are from other countries, other cultures, have different racial and ethnic backgrounds, have different gender backgrounds, have different sexual orientations, parents, non-parents. All of these things. I love this class because it really brings out a nice diversity, I think, in the student population. I think that's really cool. And so I'm happy I got to teach this course over the summer. I'm happy anytime I get to teach lifespan, and I hope you learned a little bit about lifespan developmental theory. I hope what you've learned can be applicable to your jobs in the future. I know many of you are going on to nursing, so I think a lot of this is applicable. You're going to be dealing with patients and people of all over the developmental age spectrum, so hopefully this gives you a little more insight into kind of what they might be dealing with, what's on their plate at that particular moment. But anyways, I just want to leave you with a positive note and saying thank you so much. I'm happy to see that we're come to an end. We've reached our conclusion, but it's sort of bittersweet. Anytime a course ends, I always think it's a bittersweet experience. I'm glad to see it's ending because all things must come to an end, but I really enjoyed our time together. So I hope you did as well, and I'll leave you at that. I hope everyone has a great weekend, a great week. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Maybe I'll see some of you around on campus. Maybe I don't know if any of you will take another psych class or not, but hope to see you all around. I hope you have a great and bright future. I know you're all going to do well. So, all right, I'll leave you at that. Take care. All right, bye.